Some people believe in the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations and that aliens periodically visit our planet. However, such theories are categorically refuted by science. Nevertheless, sometimes researchers discover objects whose origins cannot be explained. These are the objects you will learn about in this video. Enjoy watching. In late Sumerian Acadian mythology, the gods were divided into two main groups. The first group was called the Agigi, which included the chief deities who lived only in the heavens. The second group, composed of lesser deities, was known as the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki inhabited the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. The exact roles of the lesser deities are not clear, but it is likely that they acted as intermediaries between humans and the chief gods. It is also unknown why, in cosmogonic myths, the Anunnaki, rather than the Agigi, came to be regarded as the creators of humanity. According to one theory, the Anunnaki combined sacred and spiritual elements with the elements of the earth, and in this way, they managed to create humans. In Sumerian Akkadian mythology, the Anunnaki were considered deities, but in ancient astronaut theories, they are seen as extraterrestrials from the planet Nibiru. Many of you have probably heard of this planet, but even scientists do not know where exactly it is located. Descriptions of this mysterious object frequently appeared on Sumerian cuneiform tablets. This is why proponents of the ancient astronaut theory believe that the Anunnaki, aliens from the planet Nibiru, came to Earth, created humans, and then helped the Sumerians build a great civilization. Naturally, people were amazed by the knowledge of these visitors and regarded them as gods. Of course, this theory sounds intriguing, but it has been completely debunked by science. Crystal skulls are among the most controversial artifacts ever discovered by archaeologists. The story of their discovery began in 1889 when French antiquarian Eugene Bobin found 3 life-sized crystal skulls in the jungles of Guatemala. 35 years later, another similar artifact was discovered by a novice archaeologist named Anna Mitchell Hedges on the Yucatan Peninsula on her 17th birthday. Today, there are 13 known crystal skulls found in various parts of Central America. They continue to baffle scientists, as unraveling the mystery of their creation seems impossible. These skulls are crafted with such skill and realism that some people even believe they are not man-made but are actual skulls of aliens. Each skull is carved from a single piece of quartz crystal. Experts are puzzled by how such an artifact could have been made, as cutting quartz in those directions should cause it to shatter into pieces. It also remains unknown how the skulls were polished, as there is no trace of tool marks on their surfaces. Skeptics believe that the crystal skulls are a hoax, yet many archaeologists who have worked with these artifacts have reported having vivid dreams about the lives of ancient Native Americans after coming into contact with the skulls. During excavations in 2017, archaeologists from the Incari Cusco University discovered unusual remains in Peru, a hand with 3 elongated fingers. The find was made in one of the caves in the area where the Incas once lived. This hand was striking not only because it had 3 fingers instead of 5, but also due to its size. It clearly belonged to a very large creature, as its length is almost twice that of an average human hand. Naturally, scientists were intrigued by this discovery and began studying it. Experts conducted an examination of the hand using X-ray technology, during which they noticed significant differences in bone structure. For example, each finger of this creature consisted of 5 joints, which is not characteristic of humans. One of the fingers even had a fragment of a nail under which a strange metallic particle was found. Surprisingly, the composition of this metal had never before been encountered on Earth. To whom this hand belonged remains a mystery. Scientists speculate that it could have been a representative of an ancient hominid species, but at the same time, they do not rule out the possibility that the remains could have belonged to an alien. This theory is supported by the fact that a statuette depicting a creature resembling an alien was found next to the hand, and a year earlier, not far from this location, a skull with an unnaturally elongated shape was discovered. With the emergence of ufology, ancient Egypt has come to be considered a civilization that had contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. This is not surprising, as modern people find it difficult to understand how the Egyptians could have built the majestic pyramids without any specialized technology. Moreover, during excavations, archaeologists sometimes find such mysterious artifacts that one cannot help but believe that the Egyptians indeed communicated with aliens. One such find is a statuette of a wooden bird discovered in Saqqara in 1898. At first glance, this figurine may seem unremarkable, but upon closer inspection, one can notice its resemblance to an airplane. It was this feature of the statuette that caught the attention of an amateur Egyptologist from Cairo, Khalil Messiha, in 1972. He hypothesized that the figurine, which is about 2,100 years old, depicted not a bird, but a model of an ancient flying machine. To prove his theory, the Egyptologist created a drawing of the proposed flying machine based on the bird's statuette. However, modern engineers are convinced that if a flying machine were built according to such a drawing, it would never have taken to the air. But who knows? Perhaps the design of the ancient airplane was different, and it was with the help of this invention that the Egyptians built the pyramids. It is generally believed that mermaids are mythical creatures. However, an astonishing discovery made at the Buddhist temple Kanyenji Enjin, located in Japan, made people believe in their real existence. The temple still houses a mummy, which is 30 centimeters long. The creature to whom these remains belong looks like a monkey, but it has one incredible feature. Instead of legs, this creature has a fishtail. Of course, such an appearance leads one to think that the mummy is a mermaid. Along with the unusual mummy, a note was found in the temple, according to which this creature was caught by fishermen back in the 18th century. They were shocked by their catch and did not know what to do with it. So they killed the creature, dried it, and then sold the mummy to a family from Osaka. The mummy was kept in their home for a long time, and in the 20th century, it was transferred to the temple. In 2023, scientists from the Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts became interested in the amazing artifact kept in the temple and received permission to study it. Unfortunately, during the analysis, it was revealed that the mummy is a forgery. It turns out that its tail and jaws belong to a predatory fish from the croaker family, and the hands and skeleton are assembled from various bones and paper. Radiocarbon dating of the mummy showed that it is about 140 years old. Thus, scientists were able to debunk the only piece of evidence for the existence of mermaids. In 2010, the Swedish company Ocean X was searching for a sunken ship believed to contain treasure. The search was conducted in the Gulf of Bothnia in the Baltic Sea using sonar. However, instead of the ship, Ocean X specialists discovered a strange object located at a depth of 87 meters. It was later named the Baltic Anomaly. The images obtained using the sonar were not clear enough to precisely identify the object, but they did reveal an unusual shape resembling a spacecraft. The Baltic Anomaly indeed looked very strange, which led to numerous speculations about what it could be. According to one theory, a real alien ship lies in the Gulf of Bothnia, which crashed in the area thousands of years ago. However, there is no evidence to support this hypothesis. Scientists, on the other hand, insist that there is nothing mysterious about the Baltic Anomaly and that it is a natural formation, albeit with a strange shape. After conducting several studies, geologists explained that the Baltic Anomaly is composed of basalt rock that moved along with a glacier millions of years ago. The glacier melted, leaving the oddly shaped volcanic rock at the bottom of the Gulf of Bothnia. Antarctica is the least explored continent on our planet. The first scientific expeditions to the land of eternal ice only took place at the beginning of the 20th century. Just imagine how many secrets and mysteries this continent might hold. Many ufologists believe that aliens most frequently visit Antarctica because they can remain unnoticed there. If you don't believe this, take a look at this photograph. The image was taken in the 1950s during one of the scientific expeditions. It remained classified for a long time, but has recently surfaced on the internet. In the photograph, we see people standing in front of a strange object resembling an alien spacecraft. It appears to have crashed and become permanently encased in ice. When the photo appeared online, many people thought it was fake. Of course, it's hard to believe it's real, as this photograph would be direct evidence of the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations. For centuries, people have believed that certain objects can be cursed. The Bassano vase is considered one such cursed item. This antique silver vase could have adorned someone's home, but instead of bringing beauty, it only brings misfortune. The vase was crafted in the 15th century and was given to a bride from Naples shortly before her wedding. However, the marriage never took place because the next morning, the bride was found dead with the vase in her hands. The family decided to keep the wedding gift as a memory of the bride. Thus, the cursed vase became a family heirloom, and everyone who owned it soon died under mysterious circumstances. Finally, one of the descendants of the deceased bride noticed that the vase brought death and decided to break the tradition of passing it down from generation to generation. The vase was securely hidden and forgotten for a long time, but in 1988, it was found by a young man. Inside the vase, he discovered a note: "Beware, this vase brings death." The young man ignored this message and put the item up for auction. The vase was purchased by a pharmacist for $2,500. Like the previous owners, the new owner soon passed away. After the pharmacist's death, there were several more deaths among the owners of this mysterious object. It is said that the last owner hid it away from all people to rid the world of the curse forever. Now we can only hope that the vase is never found again. In 1929, Dr. Halil Edem discovered a map drawn on gazelle skin in the basements of the Topkapi Palace. Upon investigation, it was revealed that this map was created by the Turkish admiral and cartography enthusiast Piri Reis. The map dates back to 1513 and is truly unique, as it accurately depicts the Azores, Canary Islands, Atlantic Islands, Japan, and Antarctica. Amazingly, Piri Reis had never visited these places, and when creating the map, he simply used other geographical images he had found, some of which date back to the early centuries BCE. What astonished scientists the most was the detailed depiction of Antarctica, which was not discovered until 300 years after the creation of this map. Additionally, the map shows the coastline of Antarctica without ice, which is simply astonishing. Geological evidence suggests that the last time Antarctica might have been ice-free was around 6,000 years ago. This led scientists to think that ancient mariners may have depicted Antarctica before it became permanently frozen. Moreover, such accuracy could only have been achieved by viewing the continent from a bird's-eye perspective. But of course, there were no flying machines 6,000 years ago. This is why the Piri Reis map continues to spark debates. Some people believe it was created by ancient, wise civilizations, while others suggest that the depiction of Antarctica may have been obtained with the help of alien spacecraft. In 1803, in Japan's Hitachi province, fishermen discovered a remarkable ship washed ashore that resembled no other, and had a flattened, spherical shape. It was about 3 meters tall and no more than 5 meters wide. The upper half of the object was red and glittered in the sunlight, while the lower part was covered with a strange material that resembled copper. The upper part of the ship also had windows. The fishermen called this vessel Utsurobune, which can be translated as hollow ship. They were very curious to know what was inside this object, so they decided to enter it. The inner walls of the ship were decorated with numerous inscriptions in an unknown language. On the floor there were 2 sheets, a bottle with a transparent liquid, and some food. But the most interesting thing was that inside the ship, the fishermen encountered a beautiful young woman. She had reddish-brown eyebrows and hair, and she was dressed in a long gown. The woman held a small box in her hands and did not allow anyone to touch it. Surprisingly, she did not show any aggression towards the uninvited guests. On the contrary, she tried to communicate with them. Unfortunately, they could not understand each other. After some time, the fishermen left the ship, They helped the woman launch the vessel back into the water, and she sailed off into the unknown. Who was this woman? A representative of an unknown civilization from our planet, or perhaps an alien? Unfortunately, this information remains unknown. On the morning of June 17, 1908, in the Krasnoyarsk Krai region of Russia, an anomalous event occurred, the nature of which remains a mystery to this day. Residents of settlements near the Podkamanaya Tunguska River noticed a fiery ball in the sky. This object traveled from the southeast to the northwest at great speed before colliding with the Earth's surface. After the collision, a powerful explosion was heard within a radius of about 1,000 kilometers from the site of the incident. Additionally, the shockwave was detected by seismographs all over the world. Experts estimate that the explosion caused by the object's collision with the ground was comparable in power to the detonation of a hydrogen bomb. What happened that day? It remains a mystery. The mysterious object fell in a remote part of the taiga, and the first scientific expedition to the site took place only 13 years later. However, neither during those studies nor during subsequent ones were there any clues that could help determine what exactly fell from the sky. According to the main hypothesis explaining this incident, a meteorite fell in the taiga. However, it should be noted that scientists were unable to find fragments of the meteorite, even though they should have been present in this case. To date, there are no fewer than 70 hypotheses about the nature of the Tunguska incident, including theories of a crashed alien spacecraft and theories about experiments by Nikola Tesla, but none of these theories have found any evidence. In the 1960s, an urban legend spread in Poland, as well as in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and Mongolia, known as the Black Vulga. This eerie story told of a Soviet Volga car that kidnapped people, with children often being the primary victims of this mysterious vehicle. Since the legend was widespread across many Eastern European countries, the stories involving the Volga varied greatly. Most commonly, a black car was mentioned, but in some versions the body color was red. Accounts of who was behind the wheel, why people were being kidnapped, and under what circumstances this occurred also differed. Some people believed the kidnappings were the work of a secret police force, while others thought demons were to blame, and that the car had come straight from hell. Two versions of the legend were the most widespread. According to the first, the Black Volga was driven by a gang of criminals who kidnapped children to harvest their organs or sell them into slavery. The second version claimed that the Black Volga was a demonic entity used to steal people's souls. The demon would approach people and ask them for the time. The only way to escape was to respond with the phrase, "It is God's time." Over time, people began to forget about the killer car, and reports of encounters with it became fewer and fewer. Not far from the town of Siler City, located in Chatham County, North Carolina, lies one of the most mysterious places in the world, known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. This location is a completely barren clearing with a diameter of 12 meters. Nothing grows on this patch of land, and forest animals avoid the area. It is known that the first person to discover this place was a journalist from Greensboro named John William Hardin. This happened in the mid-20th century. The strange clearing caught Hardin's attention, and he began gathering information about it. According to legend, local residents sometimes hear terrible screams emanating from this place. It is believed that on dark nights, the devil walks around this clearing, trampling the ground with his feet and thus cursing it. Some people claim that one can even make a deal with the devil in this place. To do so, one must light a fire in the center of the clearing, place an item that is dear to the heart, and make a wish. After this, you must leave without looking back and return in the morning. If the fire has gone out and the item is gone, it means the wish will come true. Of course, all of this sounds too fantastical to believe. However, as long as scientists cannot explain why this clearing is barren, the chances that it is connected to something mystical remain. In 1974, near the town of Clerk Dorp, located in the northwest province of South Africa, miners discovered strange spheres. All of them had a small diameter, averaging around 3 centimeters, and were spherical objects with longitudinal grooves around the center. Scientists who studied these objects determined that they are over 3 billion years old and are composed of either hematite or wollastonite, with small amounts of hematite and goethite impurities. All the spheres were cut open, revealing a radiating mineral structure growing outward from the center. Although these studies showed that the Clerk Dorp spheres are geological formations, proponents of pseudoscientific theories are convinced of the extraterrestrial origin of these objects. According to their hypotheses, the spheres were brought to Earth by representatives of highly advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. They were used as spherical components of unknown mechanisms. In other words, the Clerk Dorp spheres are considered direct evidence that aliens have visited our planet. In 1947, near the town of Roswell in New Mexico, one of the most notorious and mysterious incidents in U.S. history took place. This story began on July 3rd. During the night, the owner of the Foster Place Ranch, farmer W.W. Mac Brazel, was awakened by a loud bang, followed by a bright flash. The man assumed that a storm had begun and did not pay much attention to the event. The next morning, the farmer went to search for his sheep, which had scattered due to the noise. During the search, not far from the ranch, he discovered numerous debris of unknown origin. After inspecting the wreckage, the farmer reported his findings to the sheriff. The sheriff, along with Colonel William Blanchard of the Air Force, arrived at the scene. Blanchard took the debris with him to identify it. A few days after the incident, a newspaper article appeared in which Blanchard stated that the debris belonged to an unidentified flying disc. Unsurprisingly, this news became a sensation and quickly spread beyond the United States. However, the next day, General Roger M. Ramey contradicted Blanchard's statement, claiming that the object was actually a weather balloon. Since these two statements contradicted each other, people demanded the truth, and Ramey invited journalists to inspect the wreckage. After the media saw the debris of a weather balloon, the story was forgotten. But in the late 1970s, Major Jesse Marcel, head of the intelligence department of the 509th Bomb Wing, revealed in an interview that Ramey had presented a fake to the journalists, and the real debris was highly classified. This once again shocked the public. After all, if Marcel's words were true, it meant the military had something to hide. Between western Egypt and Libya, in the Sahara, lies an area of desert known as the Great Sand Sea. Covering an area of 72,000 square kilometers, this region of endless sand dunes is where you can find stunningly beautiful stones known as Libyan desert glass. Libyan desert glass is a glassy, rock-like material with a cosmic origin. These stones typically appear as small, transparent, or translucent pieces. Most often they have a light yellow or amber hue, but rare specimens with a greenish tint can also be found. No one knows exactly how long Libyan desert glass has been present in the Great Sand Sea, but it is known that the stone was valued as far back as the time of the Egyptian pharaohs. For example, one of Tutankhamun's favorite pieces of jewelry was a necklace adorned with Libyan desert glass. Most geologists believe that Libyan desert glass formed after a meteorite impact. Recent studies of this area using satellite images have helped scientists locate the presumed site of the impact crater. However, reaching it is impossible, as it is surrounded by sand dunes. The Hope Diamond, also known as the Hope Diamond, is one of the most stunning and rare diamonds in the world. This deep blue gemstone weighs 45.52 carats and is currently housed in the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. The diamond is truly mesmerizing in appearance, but despite its beauty, it is considered cursed. The diamond was found in the Golconda mines in India. Its first officially known owner was the French merchant and explorer Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. During his visit to India in 1655, he saw the stone at a market and immediately decided to buy it. As soon as the explorer returned home with the diamond, misfortunes began to befall his family. First, his wife died of an unknown illness, followed by his daughter and several other relatives. His son became addicted to gambling and virtually bankrupted the merchant, forcing Tavernier to sell his property and the magnificent diamond, and then moved to Russia, where he soon died in poverty on the streets. The diamond was purchased by the French king Louis XVI, who decided to have it cut into several pieces. The king's favorite, Madame de Montespan, was eager for him to give her a fragment of the diamond, often holding it in her hands. However, Louis did not grant her this favor, and eventually lost interest in her. After that, she founded a convent where she died several years later, and in 1715, King Louis XIV also passed away. It is said that shortly before his death, he often admired the precious stone. After the death of Louis XIV, the diamond passed into the possession of Louis XV, but he showed no interest in the jewel and ordered it to be stored in a chest. Interestingly, he lived a long life. In 1774, French King Louis XVI discovered the diamond in the chest and gave it to his wife, Marie Antoinette, who adored the gifted stone and occasionally lent it to Princess Lamballe. As is well known, Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI were executed, and the princess was brutally murdered by a mob. It is believed that the blue diamond was to blame for these tragedies. The stone later changed hands many more times, and all its owners died unnatural deaths. This is why the Hope diamond eventually ended up in a museum, and it officially no longer has a single owner. Conspiracy theorists believe in the existence of an artificial satellite known as the Black Knight. According to their theory, this object was sent by aliens and has been orbiting Earth for 13,000 years. If this were true, scientists would have reported it long ago, but ufologists claim that science deliberately hides this information from the public. When a photograph of an unidentified dark object was taken from the Space Shuttle Endeavour in 1998, conspiracy theorists were ecstatic, believing it to be direct proof of their theory about the existence of an alien satellite. However, NASA officials stated that this object was actually a thermal blanket that was supposed to be used in the process of attaching the American module to the Russian module on the ISS. The first mention of an object capable of emitting signals in Earth's orbit came from Nikola Tesla. Back in 1899, while in Colorado Springs, he managed to detect a signal of unknown origin. However, the first person to see the strange object was an American amateur astronomer named Stephen Slayton. In 1958, while looking through his telescope, he noticed a strange object. He shared his discovery with scientists, but they did not listen to him. As you can see, the story of the Black Knight is full of contradictions, making it impossible to definitively say whether this satellite truly exists or not. I think many would agree that ancient myths are remarkable for their fantastical stories. For example, the epics of ancient India mention amazing flying machines, vimanas. Thanks to these fantastical devices, the heroes of the epics could quickly travel anywhere. Now consider this. How could people in ancient India have known about flying machines? Moreover, in many epics, they are described in a way that is very similar to how spacecraft look today. For instance, in the collection of religious hymns, the Rig Veda, written about 3,500 years ago, it is mentioned that some vimanas were equipped with weapons powered by two different sources of energy. Of course, this sounds very strange. This is why vimanas have attracted the interest of ufologists. They believe that the people of ancient India had contact with extraterrestrials. It was from them that they learned about these amazing spacecraft, and inspired by this invention, they began to mention them in their myths. Undoubtedly, this is just a theory, but it is fascinating to wonder how the people of ancient India could have had an understanding of flying machines. The Debuk Box is a small wooden wine cabinet that is said to be inhabited by an evil spirit known as a Debuk. This box gained notoriety after it was put up for sale on eBay in 2003. The owner of the wine cabinet, Kevin Mannis, shared the story of this mystical item with potential buyers. According to him, he purchased the box at a yard sale in 2001. It had previously belonged to a woman named Havala, who had survived the Holocaust. From the very first days the box appeared in Mannis's home, his life changed. He began to frequently fall ill and suffer from nightmares. Moreover, Manus experienced a constant sense of anxiety and fear. He then decided to research the history of the box. It turned out that it had been used in mysticism as a way to contain a Debuk, an evil spirit that possesses the body of a living person and harms them. After people read the description of this extraordinary item, the box became incredibly popular. Some potential buyers reported feeling intense anxiety after coming into contact with it, so they hesitated to purchase it. Ultimately, the box was acquired by a museum in Missouri, where it is currently located. The Antikythera mechanism is considered one of the earliest prototypes of computational devices. It is over 2,000 years old. This device was first discovered near the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901 aboard an ancient shipwreck. The find astonished scientists of that time, but since they did not know the purpose of this item, the mechanism was stored in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. In the 1950s, while examining various artifacts in the museum, British historian Derek Price noticed the unusual object and became intrigued by it. He determined that the mechanism was used to calculate the positions of stars, the moon, and the sun, and to perform various calculations. Price studied the artifact for many years and even managed to create a reconstruction of the mechanism. The work on studying the Antikythera mechanism was continued by Michael Wright, a specialist in mechanical devices from the London Science Museum. He identified flaws in Price's reconstruction and, in 2002, presented his own version. These two reconstructions of the ancient device spurred further research, resulting in the creation of a dedicated project for the Antikythera mechanism in 2005. Today, modern scientists have been able to identify most of the elements of the original device. This has allowed them to create the most accurate model of the mechanism to date. It turns out that it was a wooden box containing 37 gears. On the two sides of the device were dials, scales, concentric rings, and pointers. The mechanism was operated by a handle located on the side, where there was also an instruction manual. With this device, the ancients could predict at least 42 astronomical events and perform various arithmetic operations. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your engagement is the best reward for me. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.